Well, guys, we went out and bought another cheap, non-running car. I want to see if we wasted our money. We got this particular EG on Facebook Marketplace, and it was a really good price. The body's in decent shape, with the exception of needing a hood and a bumper and maybe a fender. Anyway, not running. So, did we waste our money? Welcome to VTEC Academy. You're about to get schooled. All right, so I'm here. I'm here with Scott. He's working on this new EG project we have. But by the way, this is an automatic LX. I want to do everything with this thing. I want to do a manual swap, then obviously a B swap. So, but it wasn't running, so we need to get it running. So, Scott, what's the procedure for when you're troubleshooting something?
Spark, fuel, and timing.
Right.
And we noticed that right off, these spark plug wires were not very good. There's even some rust and corrosion in there. And I checked out into the tubes because these seals go bad a lot, actually, and there'll be oil down there, but there was no oil. So we found some spark plug wires. We have new ones on order, the correct ones. These are just hopping us. So we already have spark. We tested that, and now it's on to see if we have fuel. We noticed when we turned the key on that the check engine light stayed on, but we didn't hear the fuel pump. The check engine light should go off. That's odd. So we checked the voltage, as you could see in the video, that we have voltage back there. So now we're going to change the fuel pump and hope that helps.
All right, Scott's going to change the fuel pump. I went out and bought this Delphi replacement pump. I was going to buy a Honda one, but just because of convenience, I went and bought this one instead. A couple things about fuel pumps and stuff. One of them is this little section of fuel hose is high pressure fuel hose, and it's made for in-tank operation. One of the big problems I've always found is people will go get a piece of hose, put it on, and then it degrades, and all of a sudden you find one day your car starts misfiring at high RPM, and then the next day it's a little worse and worse and worse, and it's this thing slowly disintegrating. So make sure you get the right piece of hose that's made for in-tank use. This Delphi, it comes like as a kit, so it has the fuel pump. You're going to reuse the stock sock, not a great idea, but what's most important is that little piece of hose right there. Anyway, Scott, take it away. This is a little one-way clip, and sometimes you have to depress those little prongs again so they grab the plastic. Basically, it's a one-way clip, and you might have to smash them down a little bit.
We've got the new fuel pump put in there. The new rubber that comes with it's a little funky, but it fits nice and tight. Don't forget to tighten that hose clamp after getting your thing back on there. Make sure you put that little retainer clip back on the plug too if you have one, just to be safe.
By the way, if you guys are having difficulty getting that clip out, right there are two little locks. There are one on each side. So make sure you depress those in order to get that clip out. But ready to plug it in and see if it works?
Yeah.
All right, so we got the fuel pump changed, and the fuel's pretty nasty in this thing, so we wheeled it outside. That way, if it does start, it doesn't gas us out. So Scott, you want the honors?
Okay, here we go.
All right. Hopefully it's got enough juice in the battery. It's been charging for the last few minutes.
Yeah. prime the fuel pump a couple times because you're gonna have air in the system.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be air.
Oh, you can hear it. Oh, yeah.
It sounds good. Okay, here goes the crank. Doesn't really sound like it wants to start.
That doesn't sound good. That sounds like, yeah, that don't sound like it doesn't want to go at all.
It sounds low compression kind of.
Low
or
compression, it does.
Timing.
Or timing off. So, all right. So we may have more testing to do on this thing.
We'll have to check the timing.
Well, let's do this first. Let's test the spark plugs and see if they're wet, and then we'll go from there. I suggest we get a couple wires and we connect them to the battery, and then we click the individual injectors and make sure they're making noise. All right, because sometimes you can actually bust them loose by doing 12 volts directly to them. So let's try that out.
Okay, so try not to touch them together.
There you go. Clicky, clicky.
That one.
Did it click at first though, or did
no,
it didn't?
It didn't seem to.
Yeah.
So
then,
like that one, it kind of hesitated at first.
That one's clicking now.
Yep.
The first one seemed like it might have been stuck.
And you don't want to sit on them.
No,
You want to
burn
make
'em.
sure you only tap like that. Yeah, see, it's. Come on, baby. That one's only sparking. It's not clicking yet. Give it a second.
Oh.
There you go. See, don't do that, guys. Learn from others' mistakes.
There it goes.
No,
There's a small
oh,
click.
wait.
Yep, there it goes.
There
Yep.
it is.
All right,
Try to
that
see.
other one.
Yeah.
You know what? Leave it on for about 2 seconds.
Give it a little.
Yep. Give it a little bit.
Warm it up.
Yep.
Oh,
There you go.
come
Yep.
Cool. Free up.
All right.
All right.
on.
Let's put a charger on. All right. Charger's on.
We had to put a battery charger on there. Yeah.
We did.
Okay. One more time.
One more time.
Trying. Get in there.
Turn it off.
It's still could be fuel, but it could be timing is off. The timing cover was already loose, so somebody may have been chasing a problem before
In there.
we got this.
In there messing around. All
Good
right.
name.
So, yeah, they may have had it off.
Mm-hmm.
There.
Oh, I mean, it looks like the fuel pump did. It's just like,
That's horrible. That's not pretty.
Think water got in there?
that's what it seems like, yeah. Because oil wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But that, I could feel it on the, because the igniter thing is down there. And there's like some corrosion, which is right where, well, no, I got that on there. Which is right where the corrosion is on the slope.
We did the basic tune-up plugs, plug wires, distributor cap, and rotor. It ran kind of rough yesterday. Could be the gas, could be injectors are still dirty, could be a number of things, but we did the things that we'd normally do. Yeah, it sounds like something rubbing. He's had the idle set, but it runs now. So when we pulled the, go ahead and turn off. When we pulled the other cap off, there was quite a bit of garbage inside the distributor. So, also looking at the distributor cap, you can see it's kind of chewed up. It looks like there's some plastic in there, it's probably preventing a a good contact, you know, garbage in there. So whoever did the last tune-up, if there ever was one, it just basically needed some service done to it. So just to kind of recap everything, spark timing fuel. Scott, first he determined it was getting spark. Then he determined it wasn't getting fuel. We found, after checking the wiring, we found that the problem was actually the fuel pump. So he replaced that. Then we made sure that the injectors were clicking. We got them all to click. And then my God, that smell. It's got some old gas in it. Before you got here with the camera, he actually pulled the timing cover to make sure that everything was at TDC when and everything was aligned properly on the belt, and it was. So I went out and grabbed some plug wires, plugs, and new cap and rotor. We threw those on, and it fired right up. And it sounds like it's running pretty good. So at this particular point, we could probably drive it around, get it through emissions, and then start doing modifications. I think the first thing we're going to do, though, is make it a manual. It's an automatic. Oh, I guess we need to take it for a test drive, too. See if the automatic's working. So, but anyway, if you want to button it up, I'll drive it home. Well, not really. I'll drive around the block. Prologue. As we're bolting it back together, we notice that, and it's probably responsible for the noise, we notice that the inner cover is missing. It's broken. So it may be down wedged in there. So we're going to have to, unfortunately, take the valve cover off, go in there, replace that cover. The outer cover looks good, but the inner cover is probably snapped and jammed in there on the belt, and that probably won't last very long like that. So a few more things to do, and then test drive. And we won't worry about it.
Might be able to do that. Oh, that explains why I couldn't, if there's timing marks on the back, I couldn't see them because there was this white crap in there. It's because it was rubbing the plastic.
Yeah.
Looks like it's kind of like, I can't see behind the cam, but right
Oh,
behind
wow.
the cam, it's
That's
like
melted.
touching it. Hey, Brian, you might need a couple bushings. Oh, Mountain will do it.
Looks like it's not even full.
That'll be another video.
I took that off. You can see that the timing cover is sagging a little. I believe it's not really on center there. There's a lot of grinding going on. Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
that's all ground up. If that's the key that came out of there, that's not even. It's just like a ground little chunk of metal that they threw in there.
Plastic.
Plastic though.
Yeah.
It
All right.
was.
Good choice to do that. Oh, it's all pushed out.
Yeah. So it got warped. That
Yeah.
got all polished, but I'm pretty sure this is the key that came out of the pulley. If you see that, that's not even. I mean, it's like just a chunk of steel that they threw in there to key it, and the wrench just took it right off.
Yeah.
It's just like
Just
destroyed. Did you already take the other cover away? There you go. There was another bolt. That bolt.
So Scott blasted away at this thing. Here is what's left of that inner cover that we found that was not working properly. Not to state the obvious, but it shows extreme heat. Extreme heat. So I'm a little concerned that we might have a blown head gasket, warped head, whatever. I mean, Hondas are pretty robust, but this is a bit much, wouldn't you say? Anyway, we're going to fire it up, see if it runs, try to adjust the idle, and then we'll drive it around a little bit and see if we have a problem with the coolant boiling over. Did we even check to see that coolant in it? Pretty dry. So if you drive a car that overheats a lot, I suggest you buy your water like this. No more roar from the plastic being scraped by the inside of the cam pulley. That's a good sign. Let's go ahead and set the idle. Even though it's not, we should probably warm it up first, but clearly it's idling too high. The idle screw is all the way in, so most likely our high idle is coming from a vacuum leak somewhere. So we're gonna have to start looking for a vacuum leak. So wherever there is a vacuum leak, it's not obvious. It may be actually, it's not in the booster. So it could be our cold idle valve. I'm going to guess we actually have a blown head gasket. There's a way to actually test the water to see if there's exhaust gases in it, but it smells like there's exhaust gases in it. So I don't think we need a test. We'll go ahead and check it out, see if we've got a blown head gasket. If we do, the engine's no bueno. As you heard, the car was trying to idle kind of high. Normally what you do to set the idle on these is you disconnect the idle air control valve. It's on the back of the manifold here. Once you do that, you can adjust the idle screw in. We adjusted it fully in, but it's still idled high. We looked around for an obvious vacuum leak, pinched off the hoses that feed vacuum, plugged off the booster, because I think the master's bad, so it could be the booster's bad as well, but there was no vacuum leak there. So most likely it was a fast idle valve. They'll come unscrewed sometimes and let too much air in. Before we had a chance to get to that point, we noticed a lot of bubbling in the coolant, which is a pretty surefire sign that we have a bad head gasket leak. It's actually pumping exhaust gases into the water. There's actually a test for that. Chemical test you do where you take a sample of the water and you look for exhaust gases in it, and basically you add a chemical in, shake it up, and it turns a certain color. Pretty sure this motor's no good. I mean, you saw how melted the inner timing belt cover was. It shows extreme heat, so most likely we have a blown head gasket. I think we might just pull the motor and put something else in it. I mean, after all, we're VTEC Academy, and this doesn't have VTEC. Hey guys, I hope you liked this episode. If you did, please think about subscribing and hit that bell so you get notifications every time we come out with a new video. Anyway, also, you got a friend, got a similar problem, share the video with them. Thanks very much, and we'll talk to you later.